Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Hollywood Matrimony. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you go find us on YouTube, Instagram, X, whatever it's called, Blue Sky Hive, Facebook, everywhere. And check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. What's your problem? What are you shaking your head about?
It's just the world.
Oh, man.
Hold on, I gotta find what I was looking for.
Okay.
I'll
Tell you my world. My family texting me nonstop because they're dumb. I love you, but no. I turn my phone off. I just can't. It's like just too much. Like once is enough. Just stop it.
Sorry.
And then they're like, "Oh, can you please order this?" Then they don't even send the link.
They're just sending pictures.
They're sending a picture. That's stupid.
What
like, send me the link for church. But I thought y'all were gonna send me the link.
No, they just said, "Here, go find this."
Y'all are stupid.
That's why you don't deal with those people.
Ugh. I want to just smack someone. Smack, smack, smack.
Hey, I've told you a solution to all this.
I know. That's why I'm trying. Hello. We're going to talk about movies. Lord. You got a lot of stuff happening over there. All right. What do you want to talk about first, my love? Okay.
I don't care about any of it.
All right. We're going to talk about this movie.
Whatever.
Okay. We're going to talk about the movie Better Man. I had absolutely no interest in this movie. Don't know who this guy is. Still don't know who he is. Watched the movie, and I enjoyed it. I'm so surprised. I'm shocked.
I'm not a fan of Robbie Williams' music, but
I know
who he was, and he's always great in interviews and stuff, especially like Graham Norton. Those who don't know who Robbie Williams is, he's a pop star, ex-boy band member. He's had a lot of scandal stuff, like with drugs and problems and stuff, and then had a career resurgence. And but he's very big in the UK, and then I think he became a worldwide star too. But it was probably bigger in the UK than anything.
Than anywhere else.
So this is basically a biopic about him, his career, his life, whatever. And it was an interesting approach that they made it to where he is a chimp.
Mm-hmm.
It's an anamorphic chimp. So he's a chimpanzee, but he's a human, like Planet of the Apes style.
Yeah, I think that's what I didn't like.
Excuse me.
Going into.
But it's in a world that nobody sees that. Nobody cares about that. So my assumption is, I understand the idea of knowing what he talked about. Like, he did this to make himself, one, to make the movie stand out, but also because he always saw himself as a dancing monkey.
The dancing monkey
performer.
Yeah.
But in the movie, it's treated as though this is his representation of how he thinks they see them. But the reality of, in the movie, he's technically just a normal guy, but he's a chimp. They never go, "You're a chimp." It's just a second thought of the viewer and nobody else, and it works.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. I think that's what really kind of was like, why I didn't want to watch it, because the whole talking apes and chimpanzees freak me out.
Even though you're a huge Planet of the Apes fan.
The original. The new ones are too realistic. That's why it bothers me. Like in the original, where all they did was this, but not full mouth movements. That's why I love the original Planet of the Apes more. The new ones are too scary.
I love it.
It scares me.
I love the original Planet of the Apes.
Don't
get me wrong, but I love the new ones too.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, it was a really good movie.
But the idea of the original Planet of the Apes was supposed to be scary.
That was it. The new ones were scary to me.
But they were scary back then. I'm sure. The whole idea of apes rising up, it's supposed to be terrifying.
No. Anyways, I really enjoyed this movie. I feel sad. There were some really sad moments. So like laugh, cry through the whole thing. I mean, it's a full range of emotions, and I'm happy that his life is okay now.
It's kind of a musical. It's got some great performances.
Yep.
This is one of those few times that I see a musical like movie that I really dug. I thought the performances were well done. Like the dance numbers were cool. Even if you don't know the music, it gets you kind of dancing, stomping your feet, and there's a lot of covers of stuff. So there's some music you will know even if you're not a Robbie Williams fan. I thought this was not only a unique approach to make your movie stand out, but in a way that I think it works. Like understanding how he sees himself. You see the variations, like when he goes through these drug-fueled rage moments where he turns into an animal beast, if you will. I think it all played together. It is a little unsettling initially, but as you get through the film, you kind of stop seeing the ape.
Yeah.
You know, it's there all the time.
You just get into
you just accept what's happening and you go on with it, and it works.
Yeah.
I think it had a lot of really powerful moments. I think it's just a really well done movie.
It is.
It's way better than this movie has any right being in the context of what they did.
Exactly. Had no interest, and then it came out really well.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. So
I enjoyed this movie. I did too. I enjoyed this movie thoroughly.
So check it out. Where would I find it now?
I believe it's available now on Blu-ray, DVD, digital. It's on one of the streamings. Is it Paramount? Is that a Paramount movie? I think it is. So it'll be Paramount Plus, I think.
Paramount Plus. There you go.
I don't remember if it is or not, but I think it's on Paramount Plus.
Well, I can tell you.
Anyway.
I guess I should have been prepared.
It doesn't matter.
I know, but it deserves for me to be prepared. Paramount Plus. There you go. All right, next we're going to talk about one of my favorite film franchises. Hopefully, yeah, is that okay? I'm going all over the place.
All right.
We're talking about the new Final Destination, Bloodline, technically part 6.
And now officially the highest grossing film in the entire franchise.
Can you imagine? So we know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Did we know that?
And when you watch all 5 movies, you're like, this whole thing rounds itself out. The end.
Yeah, it has the fifth one, even though the fifth one's not as strong as I think as some of the other ones. I love all these movies too, but you watch these movies for the crazy kills and deaths stuff, not so much the story. But much like the world of Saw, it interweaves itself into each other, connects itself with an ongoing story. They're not just independent, where they easily could have just done a lot of independent stories. So yeah, like you said, the fifth one, by the ending of the fifth one, it circles back to the beginning and it's done. There's no reason. It
wraps itself up. And
you can't imagine why else when we see another one outside of just going to a whole different group of people.
Exactly. So then we're in 6. We're sitting down. I'm like, I don't even know how this is going to work. What's his name? Is it with us anymore? I'm like,
Tony
how is that going to work?
Well, he was.
And I'm like, what's going on? So, guys, this movie I thought was fantastic.
It is.
I enjoyed
a fun intro. I think this might be outside of maybe the first movie. I think this is my favorite. I think the only reason this one doesn't quite beat the first one is because the first one was so unexpected at the time of what it was doing. It was different.
Yeah.
As a general rule, I like the cast of the original better than the cast of this one. But this one, I thought this was a very clever direction to expand the universe, if you will, a little bit. Do something slightly different. Try to explain why this is happening in a way that it's something that really can't be explained, but they do.
Yeah.
And it follows all the normal rules and tropes of this franchise, where you start with a big disaster, then you stop said big disaster, and then you go into the rest of the movie. In this case, the big disaster is in the 50s?
Yes.
And then it jumps into present day.
And you're like, whoa.
Then you're like, wait, huh?
What's
happening? How did that even happen?
What is happening?
It will come and let you know.
Yeah. OMG. This is such a smart movie. I think that's one of the things that we were like, how is this going to work? It works and it makes sense and it connects with everything.
So it still connects to all 5 movies. It's not a reimagining. It's not a reboot.
No, it connects. And we do get to see, I want to call him Candyman, but
his name is Tony Todd. This is his final film.
And
it almost feels like his scene. He's got like one scene, just like every other movie
very good scene
of these, and it almost feels like there's 2 levels. It's him saying goodbye to the franchise, but he's also talking to the audience and saying goodbye in life.
Goodbye to life,
because he was sick, and I think he knew the end was near, and he kind of looks at the audience and does one of his lines one more time, but it's almost like a goodbye, everyone.
Acceptance of it. And I wonder if anybody talked to him before he died about being in the movie and saying the lines and knowing like death comes for you at the end.
I don't know, but
this is like art imitating life. That him knowing death comes.
Well, like, and then they finally give you an explanation to why he knows so much.
Yes.
And it wasn't some stupid. So there's been the thing for years, which he debunked, and we talked about it in a preview last week. But everybody thought, well, maybe Tony Todd's character is death himself, and it's the reason he knows so much, and he's why he's always there. And that would have made total sense. But they did something even more clever.
But remember, he's the coroner. That's why he's there.
Yeah, and they tied him together to the bigger story in a very simple way, which I thought from the moment the movie opened, I'm like, no,
Not me. I was so dumb.
And then when they got into that sequence, they start talking about some of the stuff. I'm like, ooh, ooh, ooh. I think I told you at that moment. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. And
Yeah.
you're like, no.
I
She
was
leans
so,
over a chair and she's like this.
I was like, I'm in this movie, you guys, and I appreciate too. We had a really good audience.
We did.
People were clapping and laughing and oohing and on and like ooh to all this stuff, and they were with it. So and I think it's people that knew the franchise, they knew what was up. So I really enjoyed it. So
I felt like this one was the most violent.
Yeah.
Of the deaths, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it's a reason. I think death had a reason why.
Even though there's a lot of the CGI blood and death in it, they've gotten good enough at it that it doesn't look fake all the time. Like you can tell, but it still works.
They did some good work with like having particles.
Yeah, blending the two mediums together. But I think this one felt more violent and more bloody.
I think death was
than some of the other ones, because the other ones you've gotten tons of blood and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but they felt more like they were trying more into the clever of how to do it. Where this one did that, but it was also let's make them brutal.
Yeah.
And I do want to publicly say, like the trailer. Excuse me. I was concerned that the trailer was showing too much in the whole tattoo parlor, and this might be the first time the movie pulled a nice twist on playing up that you're not seeing what you think you're seeing.
Yes, I loved it.
So good. Don't go in thinking you already know what's going to happen to certain characters in the trailer, because you really don't.
You really don't know. It's so good. Yeah. So good.
It is. If you like the franchise, it's fantastic. If you don't like the franchise, I don't know if this movie will win you over, but it's a good place to at least just start fresh.
But it makes sense. That's what I was telling you. It's very smart. It's very well written. It connects everything, so it makes sense.
There's there's a couple little things that I thought were kind of ridiculous, but it's also buying into this franchise. So it's kind of things
like the weird tire hitting the lady outside the car.
No, that's hilarious.
I'm like, why would the tire go off?
But that happens. There? But that happens in real races.
That's scary. That's why I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, they've had things where tires flown into.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we got some cool swag while we were there.
Oh, we got a Final Destination bottle opener.
Gigantic bottle opener.
If you've seen the trailer, there's a whole thing with like a barbecue and drinking beer with this. You got a stress ball, which I'm assuming because this movie will stress you out. And then of course we got just a normal poster, which is the same as the thing. But I really love this poster because this tower is the opening of the movie.
Yeah,
so this setting up death and the explosion in the tower, it's kind of the prelude to, hey, this is the big destruction you're going to witness at the beginning of the movie, but it doesn't go in the direction you think it's going to go.
Yeah, so really good.
We also got to see two people almost get in a fight over getting this stuff.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
All because you don't get in my cutting line in front of me.
Okay.
And they're like, I don't know who you think you're talking to. It's like, it was one of those simple things that could have been solved. It was like, excuse me, the line's back there.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. But no, people have to have an attitude.
That never happens.
And by the time they got up there, none of this stuff was left but this stuff. So that's what they fought over.
So there you go.
Anyway, Final Destination, Bloodlines. I do have a problem with Bloodlines, even though the title fits. They keep putting out movies with the Bloodlines in it. First of all, I wrote a movie years ago called Bloodlines. And I changed it 3 or 4 times. But then they put out Pet Cemetery Bloodlines.
Sometimes Dead is better.
I think that's what it was. They put out, I want to say there was a Paranormal Activity Bloodlines. I think that's what it was. I want to say the last
Pet Cemetery, Hellraiser,
Bloodline,
Vampire Masquerade.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking. Anyway, but yeah, they keep adding Bloodlines to everything. So I'm just like, geez, okay.
Anyway, so
this one is, of them all though, this is the only one that seems to really fit.
Yeah.
Of what I've seen. This one makes sense of this being the title.
This is the #1 movie. Wow.
Yeah, it was the #1 this weekend. It already made more than it cost to make the movie. It made more than any of these movies have made opening weekend. It made more than some of these movies have made their entire run. So it's a big hit, which means I have no doubt we'll probably get another one sooner than later.
Yeah. Please make sure you watch all the other movies before seeing this. Okay.
Yeah, you can enjoy this one without, but you won't miss out on some aspects of it.
Yeah, so you can watch them on the line. Most of
or
them,
on
they're
Paramount
on,
Plus.
yeah, there you go. Or
No,
Max.
no, Max.
They're on Max.
Max, not Paramount
Go
Plus.
watch them on Max.
Those are
Then
Warner
go
Brothers
watch this.
movies.
It's in the theater now. #1 movie. Go check it out.
I'm hoping that Max and Warner Brothers, because of the hit of this one, that they go back and they re-release the other ones in 4K.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Because I know I'm assuming they're on Blu-ray, but I have them all on DVD. So
All right, changing directions to maybe this one's out on the DVD,
it's on Blu-ray
Blu-ray
DVD,
DVD now. So we're talking about the new movie, well, the newly to Blu-ray
yeah.
and or on the line, the new movie Mickey 17 with Robert Pattinson.
And yes, from the director of Parasite and Snowpiercer. It's also got Mark Ruffalo, Stephen Yeun, Toni Collette. It's a science fiction movie about this guy who they basically keep recloning. And his purpose is basically that I guess they're testing different things that they think will kill people.
Well, they're using him as a test dummy, but also to do work that nobody else wants to do. It's potentially dangerous.
So like, Mickey 17 is he's the 17th copy.
He's the 17th copy.
Yeah. So it's a very weird, intriguing.
It's weird.
Looking science fiction-ish things. This is the kind of movie that will work differently for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We
didn't actually talk about this yet, you and I, have we?
Not. We've had a couple of little things, but not really.
Something in my eye. Please.
I think there's some elements that people will hate this movie. Some people think this movie is stupid. I think other people will see the brilliance of the film. I think other people will walk the middle line of like I really enjoyed this movie after I sat with it, but there is some ups and downs aspects of it. First and foremost, I think Robert Pattinson is fantastic in this movie.
He did a really good job. I don't like the voice he's doing, but that I can let that go. That's the one thing.
He has to play multiple versions of the same guy, so he's got to have different personas and different attitudes and different emotions, and I think he does that great. Mark Ruffalo is insanely over the top,
creepy,
and at first he annoyed me, and I thought this is not even the same movie. But then it became that almost cartoonish villain.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that it's a direct interpretation of Trump. I don't know if that's true or not. So, and I'm not saying that I agree with
it. I bet it really reminded me of his character in the other movie with
Emma Stone.
Yes.
Yeah, he had some vibes of that.
Over the top, crazy, and he had this big white smile the whole time, and I'm like, this is kind of creepy.
Was that one, which it was funny because if you really watch it, Toni Collette's pulling all the strings.
Correct.
And he's this dictator or whatever, and he's never wrong. Face. Yeah, he's never wrong. He has all these grand ideas that make zero sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then she tells him, well, you should do such stuff. Oh, yes, we're going to do such and such. And it's interesting. I think the Stephen Yeun character, Timo, was kind of a waste of time in this movie. It didn't really have a purpose other than for him to have a friend initially.
Yeah.
But then they felt like they're building to something, then it's just kind of over.
Yeah.
So I thought his whole aspect of the movie was a waste, which was sad because I like Stephen Yeun.
Yeah. So I had a couple of different thoughts while watching this. So first is he is a clone of himself. They do download all his memories and everything, but it's interesting that each version of him is slightly different.
Yeah,
so would you come back slightly different every time? Because he has to experience his death over and over, and the new version of him remembers the death of the previous one. So does that?
I think it would have to affect you. And plus, when you're new, when you get new old memories put back into you, you're different between you live them and grow them, or you're suddenly hit with them.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot to be said too for the way they're treating his body as he's being redone, because there's some montage stuff.
At first, it's very respectful.
Yeah, and then they just get so used to it. There's like moments where he kind of falls out of the chamber, and they forget about him.
And it's interesting though, because there's one version that we see that comes back like just angry and really like, let's kill everyone. And then there's another version that's very like timid, like, no, let's follow the rules. So
I also found when they know there's one that's almost dead, and then they realize he's not dead. And he goes, hey, I'm not dead. And they goes, that's right, you will. But they throw him in the furnace anyway because they know he's going to die in the rebuilding.
So I just thought that was interesting. Like, even for ourselves, like we are different versions of ourselves with different people or different, not you're who you always are, but like I have to have like corporate Drusilla and or
Well, I
there's
mean,
like
I'm sure
House
even though I'm still me,
Priscilla.
I'm slightly
There's
different, different
Karate
class.
You. Yeah, like there's
You
different
know,
versions of ourselves. So that was one thought. My other
my change is
thought,
really more language and how I talk, more
correct.
so than my personality. My personality is always my personality, but I don't
My
cuss as much in front of my Taekwondo
I hope not.
classes.
They're children.
Or even my senior fitness classes, I rein the language in.
Yeah.
But then my day to day life is I drop f bombs like it's the word the.
My other thought was I probably took this. I read the review about how it's a satire of capitalism and using corporate greed, and they just use all their workers, blah blah. But I also had other thought about this. Could to me it also reminded me of how sometimes we treat our immigrant labor
Mm-hmm.
like they're expendable. And now we don't want you here, immigrants. So we're just going to send you all back to countries you may or may not even belong to. We're
But
going to send
nobody
you to the
thinks
wrong.
about the fact that the people that are sitting away are doing jobs, and
Yeah.
nobody that complains about the people taking these jobs would ever do those jobs.
Like, who wants to be roofers and nannies
Yeah, it's
and
like
maids
my
and
thing is like
gardeners?
and as someone who maybe not been employed in these, I've helped. My dad used to have an odd job thing, so I used to help roof houses sometimes.
Yeah.
I used to clean up, do janitorial stuff. I used to clean warehouses. I used to work on cars. I used to do all kinds of stuff assisting. I wasn't an expert by any means, but they're all jobs that are like I never want to do that as a job.
No.
I mow my lawn and I'm angry about it. It's stuff I don't want to do.
Especially in the summer.
But we
It's
have a
horrible.
society of people, just like in this, that will complain about these people doing this. We don't want these people, but all the jobs that are being taken and are being done are stuff these same people would never do in their entire life. And this I see that here too. It's like showing how the worker is not important.
No, it's
We
not
can
important.
replace you.
It's like we'll replace you.
Yeah.
And then they treat them almost like slave labor in a way, because it's like, this is where you sleep, but this you only get a certain number of hours sleep, so you're expected to work more. You
Yeah.
only get in certain rationed food, which is barely enough to sustain your body for the work you have to do. And I feel like that's how we treat all these poor people that we're
I mean,
sending
that's
back.
technically how life is for everybody,
I
though. And you get
know,
on that
but
level of it because we're all.
so I was probably
the-
reading something very cultural into this movie
No,
that
I
may
think
not have
I
been
think it's
intended.
there. I mean,
But
with you have a Korean director making a movie about this stuff.
true.
Like I think the political climate we live in right now was very purposely demonstrated in this film, but not in a way that's directly attacking the government, because it's also, as you said, it's dealing with not only cultural but financial
It's
status.
capital greed.
Of who gets to stay where, who's more important. Like this movie reminded me a lot, like it could be in the same universe as Snowpiercer, where I don't know if you ever watched that or
I
not,
don't
but
think I did,
the whole movie's on this train.
yes.
And
And the front of the train is like
the rich
all the
people or whatever.
fancy
Yeah.
things.
So this movie
Yeah.
felt very much like
It
that
is like
world.
that.
Like I wouldn't be surprised if the train pulled up to where this place was to stop,
Yeah.
because even outside was all snow.
Correct.
And so
then we have to talk about the critters.
yeah, so then they have like a whole alien species thing, which again, that was very much like dealing with um, Native Americans,
Natives.
people going and taking people's lands or cultures,
And just let's just kill everyone.
but
so we
then
can have
saying,
this
"Oh,
land."
well, we got to get rid of them. They're attacking us," and they're like, they're attacking you because you're in their place, and you're taking something that you want for you." So it's like if there's an environmental message, there's cultural, there's diversity, there's a lot of different layers here that I thought was
Yeah.
very interesting, all wrapped up in this really strange, quirky, bizarre movie.
It is quirky, but it gets you after a while. Like after about Mickey 5, then I finally got interested, because they kept killing him off real quick.
Yeah.
Then we finally get into the story.
See, I had to sit with this movie for a couple days after I watched it.
Yeah.
It was like, did I like that movie? Excuse me.
But the other thing too is that the original Mickey was in such a sad state of emotion or mental health, and he felt all alone and isolated, that he voluntarily signed up to like, yeah, you can kill me and experiment on me. Like, how sad is that in society that there are people that are like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That's sad to me. So yeah.
I really dug this movie. After I sat with it, I realized I like this movie a lot. I really like I forgot the director's name. Anyway, I really like his films with his one of his best one is The Murderer. Oh my God, what is the name of that movie?
This guy?
Bong Joon-ho. Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho. Click on it. It's Murder. You still never watched it. It's one of his older movies that I just rewatched a lot long ago.
Is that the one with like the scarecrows or something?
No. Scroll down.
Memories
Memories of a Murder. That's what I told you about, where they're trying to solve the serial killer, and there's one that never got caught.
It seems like the Scarecrow movie.
Well, it's not a Scarecrow movie.
I know, but it just looks like there's
in real life, the serial killer this movie is about never got caught, and so the end of the movie is him looking at the camera and saying that they're going to find you or whatever. Basically, like talking to the real life serial killer.
Oh, it's based on a true story.
Yeah, it's based on a real thing.
I'll have to go watch
It's such a great movie, but it's also kind of unnerving. They just did a re-release of it in 23, I believe, which is when I saw it for the first time. I had never seen it.
Wow.
But anyway, Parasite's brilliant. And the guy just does great stuff.
Yeah, so it's out there. It's available now on the line, or if you want to buy the Blu-ray or DVD. All right. Ooh, Left Turn. The new movie Hard Eyes. So excited to see this one.
This is one of those other ones that
came out of nowhere because
we missed it in the theater.
Was it a Valentine's?
I think it came out in March.
Oh,
but either way,
Valentine's.
It was around that area. But this is what I wanted to go see, and then we just never got around to
it. It's also on the Blu-ray and DVD.
It's a slasher flick, kind of like stuff like Friday the 13th and stuff. For those that don't remember, there have been numerous slasher flicks from Valentine's Day. Probably most famous is My Bloody Valentine, both the one from the 80s, I think 70s or 80s, and the remake. So in my opinion, when you make a good slasher flick, there's two most important things you have to have. It's a memorable, cool-looking killer that could carry a franchise, but if nothing else, makes you fear, but also think they're awesome, and great kills. This movie is very much in the vein of the 80s slasher flick.
I'm going to share a list of Valentine's Day killer movies.
This is the movie Valentine.
Yeah, I like Valentine personally.
But this one, I really love this one. It jumps right off the gate, not only setting up the killer, setting up the theme, but some great kills. This one is a little lower on the kill list than I expected, because it focuses more on, you get an initial group, but then it kind of focuses on just two characters.
Yeah.
So then it takes a while before anybody really gets killed, but there's a lot of fighting. What do you think?
I really liked it. It was just turn off your brain, have some popcorn, and have fun kind of movie, which is what I wanted at the point we were watching it, because we just like, let's just watch this. I love me a good slasher movie. I like that there doesn't necessarily need to be a reason why or whatever. And it actually, there's a couple of twists and turns that are unexpected, and you're like, oh. And then they do a good job of like, well, maybe it's this person, maybe it's this person. So that was good too.
Yeah, it had a very Scream vibe to it, where the opening kill, then a whodunit, and who is the killer.
Exactly.
The director is the same person who made the movie Werewolves Within, which I don't know if you remember that one, which is the one with the little small town. It's kind of a comedy werewolf with the black sheriff.
Yes.
It's really fun.
Funny that your parents watched that, and they liked it too.
Yeah, they liked that too. My parents don't watch that
good
kind of stuff.
Movie. Great movie. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, it's just a slasher film.
When I saw this stuff promoted, the promo stuff was just fantastic. But my initial experience of this promotion, I hated this heart-shaped eye thing. I was like, this is stupid looking. Yeah. And then I kind of started letting the promotional posters and things come out, and with trailers, I'm like, all right, it works.
We're gonna go with
fantastic.
Let it happen.
It basically went all in on the Valentine idea, complete with shooting arrows.
Yes.
And the way some of the kills are done.
I'm gonna say that I love this killer doesn't use guns.
Well, most of these killers don't use guns.
I love a good knife, arrows.
Well, any of these kind of movies, they never use guns.
And even like his throwing knives have little hearts engraved on the end. Like I love.
I got confused by that when you were saying that, because none of these slasher flicks, none of the slashers use guns.
But I'm saying there's not a lot of guns in it in general, just like the cops. But I'm just saying, because a lot of slasher
movies are.
I know, but other people
somehow
and they're trying to shoot people and they never die. Never mind. Okay, sorry, I'm dumb.
You're not dumb. You're just confusing the hell out of me.
I just liked the little engraved hearts on his throwing knives. I like the Cupid arrows, bows. Like
He's also a killer that's not a super slow walking. He's walking at you with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
He's got multiple blades, multiple knives, bows, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He to me was kind of like what they did with the slasher, which what 28 Days Later did with zombies, where they made them like faster and a little more chaotic. This person's got a purpose and he's moving. Like Ghostface and Scream will chase you.
Yes.
But it was also like that show up around the corner.
Yeah.
This guy just came after you.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of the surprise. I'm like he did, but don't get me wrong. But I also liked that it leaned into that 80s, 90s vibe.
Yeah, it just went with
while doing its own thing.
Okay, and I'm dumb. Killers don't use
You're
guns.
You're not dumb.
Who knows?
I mean, you are, but not for this. But I'm just saying, in a slasher movie.
I know. I got it now. That's why it's called the slasher. I'm dumb.
They don't call gunners.
Well, I think.
That's an action movie.
What if they did?
Well, they could.
Let's turn the tables.
There was a
serial killer slasher guy that's a gun guy.
What was that? It was a movie from the 70s I watched, and this guy just walking around shooting people. Is it Maniac Cop? I think it's Maniac Cop. Maniac Cop did that. Where he'd walk around just shooting people and.
Nail Gun Massacre.
Okay, well, sadly, I know that movie, but no, Maniac Cop is kind of a slasher flick, but he's running around just killing people.
All right, well, there you go. I'm stupid.
You're
now
not
we know.
stupid.
But I liked this movie. Go watch it anyway, even if I'm dumb. It's a good movie.
The last act of the reveal was a little for me, but it still delivered. It was fun.
And it's streaming now on the Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Blu-ray, DVD, and Netflix. So
there you go.
One to check out.
Okay, one more.
All right. The last one was this one kind of popped up surprisingly. I knew it was coming, but I didn't know it was already hitting.
It's on the line.
Peacock, or was it Paramount Plus as well?
I think it was getting Peacock.
It all. Anyway, it was the movie Novocain, starring Jack Quaid, the son of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
I don't really think I'm a fan of him.
I love Jack
specifically.
Quaid. He's great in The Boys. He's great on Lower Decks.
It's streaming on Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus. He was great on Lower Decks. I liked him in Companion. He was good in the Scream movie.
I think everything I've seen him in, he's kind of a jerk or the bad guy, and I'm just like, no.
That's literally two things that you've seen.
Well, that's all I've seen him in. There you go.
Anyway, so this movie it's another one of those that looked like a blast, and my fear was the trailer gave too much away. But to my surprise, there's still a lot more layers here. You're basically dealing with this guy who works at a bank, but he suffers this condition where he doesn't feel pain, which would have been enough for this movie. They didn't need to go into anything else.
No, but they
did. They delved into his day-to-day life that you really don't think about in this scenario, which I think that's what made this movie a little more than just him running around getting hit and cut and not feeling it.
Yes.
They talk about the dangers of eating and biting his own tongue off and bleeding to death. And,
yes. Congenital sensitivity to pain, CIPA. But yeah, so it's like he also has to set a timer to go to the bathroom because he doesn't feel
like
it.
He has to go to the bathroom.
Like, because when you're like, oh, I gotta go, like, or your tummy, like you've been holding it too long, you're like, I gotta pee. He doesn't have any of that.
It made it more of a disability than it really is instead of the coolness that most of it think it is.
Yeah, no, it's a real life condition, and it's interesting because even I was telling you the one thing I saw like in his apartment, like he has a bookshelf, but he has like the ropes on it so the books can't fall on it. Like everything in his house is set up for safety.
Yeah.
And he goes on a mad rampage that is the most unsafe, burning, shooting. Pitchforking, I don't know what else happens to him. You see it in the trailer, like the most unsafe things happen to this poor guy because he falls in love with a girl.
Yep. and the other thing I thought, like a lot of the action and stuff you see in the trailer, but it is expanded, it's bigger, the setup to get there, the things that go along with it are a lot more. So there's a lot still fun to be had here.
Oh yeah, it's a lot
that isn't spoiled by the trailers. I also enjoyed that he doesn't, just because he doesn't feel pain and just because he's on this rampage, he doesn't suddenly become this unstoppable badass.
No, he's not.
He gets beat up through the whole movie.
He's a nerd. He works at a bank. I mean,
yeah, most of his moments of winning a fight or whatever, pure accidental or pure luck because of his pain situation. Like, he shoots one guy that you see in the trailer because he grabs the gun that went into a grease fryer.
And it's when he's like, Sir, are you okay?
Yeah, I shot him in the face. But it's because he can do that, it's unexpectedly, and that's why it works for him.
So funny.
You know, but then there's also some humor played up with it. Like there's another thing that's in the trailer. I'm using the ones there, so I'm not spoiling it. Where like this giant mace spiked ball sticks him in the back, and he goes, "What is that?" He goes, "What? No."
And he's like going around in
And then he's like,
circles.
"Why? Why? Like, why would that even be here?"
We don't
And so
know,
it's a
man.
fun flick, man.
It's a lot of fun.
It's the exact movie I thought it would be, but with a little more depth.
A little and a lot funner than I thought it would be.
And a little
like
twist.
There's some
twists
fun.
and turns.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But yeah, it's a
It's
blast
good.
of a film.
It's a lot of fun. And I even though I don't like him in his face, it's not a Dano situation. It's much better. But it was really good and I enjoyed him in it. He was fun.
He looks like his mom and dad.
There you go. Well, it was good.
Anyway, yeah,
That's all I got to say
Novocain
about that.
is available now on Paramount Plus.
All right.
It is not on Blu-ray and stuff yet.
No, it's just on the line.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me what's up over there with you.
Well, I'm just sitting here minding my business.
Okay.
Oh, you mean
What's
the movie's coming out? Oh,
Yeah.
well, let's look and see.
This dog is snoring. Please, apologies if you hear it. Sorry.
Sorry about that. I accidentally shut my thing and looked at something else. All right. So this week we got the movie, Steven Soderbergh's latest movie, Presence, which we'll talk about next week. Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X are both getting the 4K treatment, as well as A Knight's Tale is getting a new 4K steelbook release.
Aw, such a good movie.
And then that's kind of it. There's not a lot of big stuff this week. It's still a small week.
Okay, well, also at the theater on the line, it's kind of a small week as well. Coming out on Tuesday, in case you missed it in the theater, the Minecraft movie is coming out on video demand and digital. I'm sure you'll have to pay for it, but it'll be on.
Did you say this week was a small week in the theater?
On the line.
Oh, on the line. Sorry.
Well, I think in the list of movies is small. I know. Well,
Okay.
we're getting there.
All right.
Coming to Prime Video, the series Motorheads, if you're into that. And we don't care about that. Okay, so Friday at the theater, there's something called Mission Impossible. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing. This is part 8. It's called The Final Reckoning. And we're
previously known as Dead Reckoning Part
2, but now it's just the final. I guess it really is the final.
That's the thought, as they're saying this is the last movie.
Tom Cruise is like, I have broken myself in too many pieces to keep doing this.
Did he say this?
No, I'm just assuming.
That's what you've decided. Well, I mean, he's getting what, close to 70.
But he does all of his own things, guys. Still crazy. Anyways, so we're in the middle of a Mission Impossible marathon. Please make sure you watch the other movies before you see
Especially with this new one, I've heard this one has a lot of Easter eggs from throughout the entire franchise.
Yeah, so you need to know what's up. Also coming to theaters, the new Lilo and Stitch movie. This is the live action version of the 63.
Movie.
Oh, he's not. That's
no,
not bad, but for doing all of this stuff and breaking, he's broken a lot of bones along the way. Yeah. It's a lot. The new Lilo and Stitch movie, which I know you're going to go see, it's the live action version. Also coming to theaters, a movie called Friendship. This is Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson. Don't know anything about it, but it says it's a bromance. And if Paul Rudd's there, I'm there. There you go. Coming to Apple TV. I'm excited about this. I just saw the trailer for it. So Fountain of Youth. What is that?
That's what you did.
I'm so excited. The new Apple TV Plus movie with Natalie Portman and all these people.
John
Krasinski, Jim from The Office. And also coming to Netflix, the new movie Fear Street Prom Queen. This is kind of the follow-up or in the same vein of
the other Fear Street movies.
Yeah,
they put out 3 other ones. And Fear Street, for those that don't know, is from R.L. Stine, who does Goosebumps. This was an older kid series he did, and so they put out 3 like 2 or 3 years ago. They put out 3 other Fear Street movies that were slasher flicks, and I think they were all time jump stuff. Like this, I think it was like the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
That's right. Yes.
So, they were really fun movies.
They were a lot of fun. So we'll be looking forward to that one. And then coming out to Shudder, a new movie on Shudder, The Surrender. So a mother and daughter are grieving the loss of their patriarch, so the dad, husband, and they decide they're going to just perform a ritual and bring him back from the dead. Well, we know that always works out really well. So keep your eyes out for that one if you have Shudder. Also coming to Netflix, Air Force Elite Thunderbirds, a documentary about the Thunderbirds.
Oh, so the Blue
Flex
Angels
Squad.
are getting one of the Thunderbirds. They fly the F-16.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a new documentary about the Thunderbirds.
Where's that playing? On
On
Netflix?
Netflix.
That one I want to watch. That was huge.
We watched that other one.
Yeah,
about
Blue
that
Angels
other...
I was a fan of. I've seen the Blue Angels, but I've seen the Thunderbirds. So I was a massive Thunderbirds fan. Not the stop motion animation Thunderbirds, but the actual group. But because I used to love the F-16, and so I used to have. I know we've talked about this before, but I used to have like tons of pictures of jets and stuff on my walls, and there used to be a phone number you could call the Navy, and it was a recording, and then they would just send you a package.
You could write. You would write a letter to and ask for a picture of the planes and all that.
There was a phone number you could call. Just left your name and number on it, name and address, and they would send me a Manila envelope that was just filled with 8x10s of airplanes. It was awesome.
It's so fun. All right. Anyway, so we'll watch that documentary for sure.
All right. So the other Fear Street movies was Fear Street Part 1 was 1994.
Yes, that's right.
Part 2 was 1978, and then it was 1666.
Oh, I remember that. And they're all kind of connected in the loop in a way.
Yeah, and the next one
I remember 1960. That's the one where they're down and below in the tree and like witches and something.
Something like that.
Yeah, those were good.
And then, of course, now we got Prom Queen. So this is, I think, looks like this new one is doing
1966 was the 90s, so there was the 70s, 80s, and 90s, right?
Well, they must have. This says 19. This says 1666.
I know, but I remember I read it. The teenagers in the 90s are trying to figure out why their town is cursed.
Yeah, it's all.
And it leads them back to 66. So it's a 70s, 80s, 90s flashback movie, and now we have Prom Queens. I'm excited. I want to go watch them all again.
But I think the new one. I know
they have nothing maybe.
Yeah, the new one. I think is expanding it to its own thing. And it looks like the Prom Queen one, it says, takes place in the 1950s.
Oh, okay.
It says, Flash film takes place in the 1950s and centers on Harry Rooker, the milkman.
Oh, no, not the milkman. Be careful.
I don't know if that's still what it is or what. They have announced 3 additional movies that were in development, but they haven't said much else beyond there.
Okay. All right. There you go. All right.
I'm going to see if there's...
Tell me about the free stuff, babe.
What we got? We've got some new stuff. We got some old stuff. We got copies of A Better Man on DVD. I say Better Man. Better Man. I keep mixing this up with A Different Man, which is a fantastic movie with Sebastian Stan, where he's playing that guy. I don't know what condition he had with the deformed face, and he's an actor. So yeah, it's a great movie. Anyway, Better Man, we have copies of. And still have a couple copies left of Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League. We still have some copies of Pell Rider. We also now have copies of Mickey 17 on 4K.
Nice.
We've got some digital copies of the new Snow White movie. And, of course, we still got some 4K copies of Dirty Harry, the one that started it all.
There you go. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.